Well, 2 years ago, the Green Power millionaire Dale Vince gave £10,000 to an upstart protest group called Just Stop Oil. No one had heard of them then. They certainly have now, though. They brought roads to a standstill. They've bound their necks to goalposts at a Premier League football match. They've wrecked the World Snooker Championships by hurling orange powder across the tables. They've even sullied the sacred Chelsea Flower Show. Dale Vince also happens to be one of the biggest backers of the Labour Party, pumping £1.5 million into the party that could soon be running the country. If the whole point of Just Stop Oil is to bring climate change to the attention of leaders, why would a man with a direct line to the potential Prime Minister need to bankroll their campaign of torment? Well, I spoke to him just before the show. So I was fascinated by you, mainly from the briefing notes I got given earlier today. You dropped out of school at 15. You lived in a converted ambulance. You were too poor to afford shoes. You had to eat out of bins. You haven't eaten meat for 40 years. You admitted you'd rather die than eat meat. You launched your first wind turbine off your roof in 1996. You set up a company, Ecotricity. You now have 200,000 customers in the UK, and you're reputed to be worth over £100 million. That's a hell of a story.
Yeah, and that's only some of it. And it's not completely accurate, but, you know, there's a lot of truth in there. How long you got?
Well, not that long. We could probably do a longer one another time. You've hit the headlines recently because of your support for Just Stop Oil, and in particular, your financial support. It began with a £10,000 donation. A week ago, you said you would match any other donations in a 48-hour period. The amount raised was £170,000, which you doubled to £340,000. That's a significant chunk of change, even for a man of your wealth. Why are you so committed to supporting Just Stop Oil?
Well, the cause itself, I mean, it's a single-purpose campaign to prevent further drilling for oil and gas in the North Sea. We know that it doesn't make sense. The international scientific consensus is clear. We can't keep finding new forms of fossil fuels because we can't afford to burn them if we're going to stay within the Paris 1.5 degree Accord, which we signed up to along with the rest of the world in 2015. You know, the science is really clear from the UN, from the IPCC. We're in danger of reaching 3 degrees. We have to transition from fossil fuels rapidly, and therefore drilling for more, and they'll take years to come into fruition, just makes no sense, Piers. And so I believe that very strongly. I think the guys are doing a great job, and I'm giving them all the support that I can.
So, look, broadly, I agree with what you've just said. All right, so let's put that on the table. You know, when I hear the Just Stop Oil protesters, when they outline their mission statement, I find myself nodding along. My problem is with their methodology. And I want to play a clip. This is a cyclist in North London who identified himself as a Liberal and said this to some of the protesters.
Because everyone hates you. I'm a Liberal. I've always voted Liberal. And you all feel better about yourself, but you're hurting the cause. You feel better, but you're hurting the cause. You're hurting the green cause. So you feel good about yourself, but you're not helping.
I thought it was really interesting because he basically supported them but doesn't support the methods they're using. And I don't, and a lot of people don't. Your friend Sir Keir Starmer, you've been a big donor to the Labour Party and you support him and want him to be Prime Minister. He doesn't support the methodology either. Why are you so happy to put hundreds of thousands of pounds to a group who are causing a lot of aggravation to people and don't appear to be turning any minds?
Well, I think, you know, a recording of one cyclist is an anecdote, and a few other people's opinions, they're also anecdotes. None of that is data. If you look behind the scenes, Just Stop Oil have a lot of support.
I agree with your cause, but I agree with what he said. So I don't think he's just that guy. Yeah. A lot of people I talk to have a fundamental, basic, supportive view about the cause and think we should be doing this, but they just hate what's going on now with these protesters. And when I've had a few of them in here, I've got to say, some of them have behaved like complete morons, which, again, doesn't help the cause. You're not a moron. You're a very, very bright guy. And I think you've really, you know, you've laid your own cards on the table very firmly and dedicated yourself to this cause. Do you not think that some of this methodology is just having the opposite effect?
Well, look, it's definitely upsetting some people. That's what I was trying to say. But behind that, there's a lot of people that support what Just Stop Oil are doing because A lot of people feel completely frustrated. Our government say the right things on the climate, then they do all the wrong things, opening a coal mine, drilling in the North Sea, all kinds of stuff, maintaining the ban on onshore wind, you know, our fastest, cheapest, cleanest form of energy. It needs no public money at all. We can get to 100% green electricity in 10 years with no public money if the government just enabled that. But instead, we have a government pursuing old-fashioned policies, claiming that if we drill in the North Sea, we can help bring energy bills down, when that's completely counterfactual. We saw that from the energy crisis last winter. And of course, it flies in the teeth of the climate crisis. Millions of people are frustrated by this, Piers, and I do understand and I do accept that it also upsets people as well.
But watching these guys jumping on snooker tables, wrecking everyone's fun at the World Championships and spraying their paint around, watching them trashing gardens that have been beautifully, lovingly produced and cared for months by people at the Chelsea Flower Show and so on, it's just vandalism. It doesn't make anybody think, God, that's great, I must support them. It thinks, I hate these people. So again, I come back to, you are a smart guy. You must know that this is not the right way to get what they want or what you want.
Well, look, I think with a Conservative government, nothing is the right way to get what we want in terms of the climate crisis that we face. This government are tone deaf completely in hock to fossil fuel interests and just the old way of doing things. It's out of sheer frustration that these people behave in this way and campaign in this way, and I understand that. I do understand also that it aggravates people. But look, Piers, in the background, there's a greater harm being done. The climate crisis itself killed 40,000 people in Europe last summer when we had those record high temperatures. This is not a one-off event. It's happening all around the world because of freak weather. There's this big thing coming called the climate crisis, driven by fossil fuels, and we absolutely can't afford to be drilling for any more.
So we had a lot of agreement, other than methodology, about a lot of what he was talking about.